Jason, we've got this call that happened between President Biden and Xi Jinping. Look, we get the readouts and it all sounds very cosy. They've got a great relationship, mutual interests, all this sort of palaver. Break it down, cut through this spin for me. What does this mean? Do we judge it by how long it went for, 90 minutes, the frequency of it? What can we tell? What's changed? What's significant is there here?
Yeah, great question. In 90 minutes, it sounds like a relatively long call for any calls that we would take. But considering the amount of material that they would have to cover over that 90 minutes, probably went by pretty quickly. The good news is that the leaders are talking. There's definitely a lot of animosity when it comes to policy and conflicting policies and national interests going on beneath the surface, but very important for the national leaders to be talking, regardless of the tone of the conversation, which I have an idea was quite professional and cordial, considering they probably hold each other in high regard as far as the power that they hold. However, I have been, in an administration advising a president where we've had President Xi come and make multiple overtures and say a lot of the right things when it comes to how China plans to engage with the world and how they plan to change their behavior. And I know that President Biden would be staffed to know that whatever it was that President Xi sort of offered as a concession could not be trusted on that call. And that's why it doesn't mean as much. However, the fact that they talked is important, and we should keep communication going at multiple levels of the U.S.-China government. Really, the world depends on it. It is the most important bilateral relationship going on in the world right now.
I mean, you go back to probably the time when the President Xi clearly, I think, put it in the clearest example of not being able to follow through and not having his word believed when he, at the White House with President Obama, I should say, said there would be no militarisation within the South China Sea, and then we saw that blatantly being broken, that word broken. So you just can't trust what he says in calls anymore? Is it that blatant?
Well, that's the case. And the question is, what would hold President Xi accountable? President Biden has said very clearly his view on international relations is to handle an actor like Russia or China, you need to isolate them from the international community by building trust with allies and trying to rebuild international norms. With the Australia-US ministerial coming up, we know that the rebuilding international norms and talking about the rules-based order will be, it's probably said every couple minutes, that particular line, because Australia relies on it and it's the U.S. vision. So President Biden doesn't think that he can accomplish much on a bilateral call, but he wants to make sure that the readout of the call states exactly what the priorities are, and then he can use that call to go around and try to gain further trust and further alliances in order to isolate that country and what they're doing. And that's his path ahead.
Yeah. It's the slow game, isn't it? The long game, if you like. Jason Israel, always appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tom.